Well, welcome everyone. This is a webinar just to introduce the instructors and the courses for our ACMS Field School and to provide some information and encourage you to send us any questions that you may have about the Field School and our program this summer. So we are planning to try to go ahead with our Field School for summer 2022, as we'll talk about, even with some challenges, and we are aware of the challenges, and we'll be open to talking with you about your own situation as we go. So the American Center for Mongolian Studies, which is hosting the Field School, we've been founded 20 years ago. This is our 20th anniversary year. And in Ulaanbaatar, our office opened in 2004, so almost 20 years for our full-time office in Mongolia. So today we have several members of our office. And Tufshe just turned off her camera, but got to go from our office in Ulaanbaatar. So we have a whole staff of people in Ulaanbaatar, and we'll be welcoming everyone. And you guys can talk a little bit later as we talk about some of the details of the program. So Bolar Tsetsig Bolar is our director, executive director. She hopes to be there this summer as well. She's not able to join us this evening, but Bolar also will be supporting the program both before and during the program. So the ACMS is a nonprofit 501c3 based in the United States with our office in Mongolia as well, in Ulaanbaatar. And someone described this as like the academic embassy, but we are the only full-time foreign research center that's based in Mongolia. And we're really there to help welcome people, to support people doing research, to support visiting groups of teachers, of students. We every year in the past have hosted quite a number of researchers, including through our own programs. We have fellowships. Our research fellowship applications just closed for this year, but we also run a Mongolian language program, as I'll talk about. And then we have speakers, activities, events. You can see on our Facebook and on our website links to a lot of the different information. And if you want to be put on our mailing list, just send us an email, this info@Mongolia Center, or make a request, and we will definitely add you to our mailing list. You can get our monthly publication this month in Mongolian Studies that really gives a range of resources and information, access to fellowships, to publications, different talks, both the ones that we are sponsoring and other organizations as well. As I said, our language program is still open. You can apply and participate. We do intend to have an on-site language program, and we also do online Mongolian language courses. So if anyone's interested in Mongolian language, either tutoring or courses, please contact us and we can tell you and describe the different options. And we offer Mongolian support, language support for Mongolian language learners at all levels of language development. So our Field School is a program that we started in 2019 and should have been offered in 2020 and 2021. In 2020, we had all of our courses planned. Basically, many of the courses that we have going now were courses that were going to be offered in 2020, but then the pandemic came. And of course, in February and March 2020, then travel shut down and we weren't able to do our program in 2020. In 2021, we offered a series of what we called our online Field School classes. Travel to Mongolia was still closed, so all of the teachers and a number of the people who are teaching in the summer school program this summer put together online courses. And these courses are still available, so you can find them under this link and look for the online Field School, and you can gain access to all of the lectures and all of the resources and other materials. When we offered those classes last year, it was all recorded and is available. If you register for a class, you can still then gain access and view the videos and see the resources and different things for the different classes. For 2022, we plan to be back in Mongolia. We're trying to, Mongolia really wants to welcome, we were just talking about this, Mongolia really wants to welcome tourists and visitors to come back to Mongolia. So therefore, they've lifted most restrictions. The biggest restriction, and we can talk about it and answer any of your questions right now, I would say, is the availability of flights and access to be able to travel to Mongolia. So, but Mongolia is open, and people that feel comfortable and confident traveling and are fully vaccinated can travel to Mongolia. So we've had our first fellows come back, and I know the US Embassy has had a number of people coming in on different programs, such as the Fulbright program, into Mongolia. So visitors are coming back into Mongolia slowly, and we hope to be able to offer our Insight field courses, because you can see these pictures from our previous field school, like being there in Mongolia. The online courses were good. We could provide some information, but being there on site really is the incomparable experience. So we're hoping to be able to offer it. Each course would have a maximum of 20 international and Mongolian participants. Last time we had a pretty even mix. We had about 10 Mongolian and 10 international participants in each course. Courses were all offered in English and will be all offered in English. But I think this mix, and that's one of the things I say that makes this a different field school experience. A lot of times, and I know I did study abroad myself, coming from an American university to go abroad, and I was with all American students. And so a lot of those study abroad and other field school programs are only with foreign participants. But our program is really intentionally designed that it's going to be a mix of international participants and Mongolian participants. So that really makes a much richer experience for both groups. So for both our Mongolian participants and our international participants, and people in the program as well. Last time were from 20 years old to I think 75 was our oldest participant last time, a range of ages. It's not all just for undergraduate students or graduate students or teachers. It's a real mix of people. And we had a number of people that just wanted to travel to Mongolia and said it's so much more interesting to travel to Mongolia and do it through an academic program like this, rather than just going on a typical tourist program. So our program, as I say, each course up to 20 participants, and we'll go over each of the courses, and the instructors are here and will be introducing their course. Basically, the participants would be responsible for getting to Ulaanbaatar, which is where all the courses will be leaving from. And then the courses will go out. We'll have an orientation in Ulaanbaatar, and then the courses will go out to the field from there and travel back to Ulaanbaatar and end in Ulaanbaatar. So we have our staff, and we can help you make your accommodations and arrangements in Ulaanbaatar before and after the field school program. And then the tuition costs for the field school program include your travel, and while you're in the field, your accommodations. And in Ulaanbaatar, we also will support during the orientation, the accommodations, and most of the meals. There's a few meals that, like when you're in Ulaanbaatar for dinner at the end of the day, you can just go out to different restaurants and things rather than trying to organize a group meal. But when we're in the field, we'll all be eating together, as we see here, a picture of everyone having in one of the tents in one of the gear camps that we stayed in last time. So the groups will be together, and that's all included within the tuition price. So here's just some of the pictures from last time of going to stay. This is a gear camp, a tent yurt camp that we stay at, and we'll be staying at a variety of different ones of these. Typically a tourist camp that has a dining facility. Most of them have toilet facilities with running water and sometimes showers. Some of them don't. Some of them have just standard field toilets, but all of them will have beds and tents, and all of that will be taken care of. You'll be traveling in these jeeps, like the Russian furgon jeeps or the Delica four-wheel drives, or those types of small vans when you're in the countryside. Some of it's on paved roads and some of it's off paved roads. And we'll have a whole group of vehicles traveling together to transport the group and the tour leaders, the teachers. We'll have translators along and other people supporting the group as well. So we have we sort of organize the courses in part based upon our experience in the past and the availability of the instructors. And we thought we would do a set of courses that are going to start in late June, so on June 20th, so that we can have a common orientation for each of the different courses. So we'll do a couple of days of orientation together, where you'll start the course for part of the day and then do common orientation things for part of the day in Ulaanbaatar. And then after a couple of days, then the courses will move on and you'll go to the countryside and through the travels of the course as we'll hear about. So there's 4 courses that will be running in late June until from June 20th, and then they have sort of varying lengths based upon the number of days of travel, but returning by early July, just a little bit before Naadam, back to Ulaanbaatar. And then you can stay in Ulaanbaatar for longer, you can participate in the Naadam, you can go on other travels in Mongolia. And then we have a second session that's a bit later after Naadam, so starting July 25th, with a course that's going to be looking at this environment, humans, and mining in northern Mongolia, going up to Darhan and to the area up north of Ulaanbaatar. So now we'll go through some of the different courses in just a minute. So the tuition for the courses, most of them are $2,900 US for the tuition for the program for the international participants. That includes all of your program costs, including your housing and meals, the transportation, instruction, all the site visits, the translators and guides and instructors for the class. So basically, this is almost like all inclusive. As I say, there'll be a meal or two, sometimes in transit or while you're in the city, where it may not be covered. You may want to buy additional snacks or different things. So there's a few things, incidental things that you'll be covering, but basically during the time of the course, your expenses will be arranged and covered. Mongolian participants have a separate tuition rate, and then we have a number of fellowships available. And so the Mongolian participants, if you can check in, we have our office in Ulaanbaatar and connect with the office in Ulaanbaatar. For our international participants and for the Mongolian participants, we have a number of fellowships that are available. And so our funding sponsor, the Henry Luce Foundation, who's been very generous in helping us organize and run this program, they're offering fellowships of up to $2,000 to cover the majority of the tuition costs for participants. So in your application, as long as you apply by the priority deadline, which is the end of March, we've extended that to the end of March, you will be eligible for consideration of a fellowship. And so we'll try to let you know after you apply. We'll be letting people know on a rolling basis in terms of your acceptance for the program. And then we're going to, by early April, be able to let everyone know what the fellowship amounts are for the fellowships that will be offered by the Henry Luce Foundation. So there were a number of people, as I said, we were running the program in 2020. A number of people have been accepted. They've been awarded fellowships for 2020. We will honor all of those. So everyone, we've tried to reach out to anyone who is a previous applicant. You don't have to redo all of the pieces of your application, and we will honor any fellowship awards that we gave you, and you're eligible for consideration of additional awards this year as well. So please apply by the March 30th priority deadline if you're interested in applying for a fellowship. We have our final application deadline on April 30th. This is just to give everyone time to know before the start date of the program, in terms of acceptance, in terms of the fellowships, start to make travel arrangements and make final decisions. So we'll be asking for deposits then by early May, after we get all of the process settled. So an initial deposit to ensure your place in the program. So you can also, and we had a number of people last time that were able to get funding or support, sometimes from their other other possibilities like other their home institutions, or sometimes they did crowdfunding. Sometimes they got support from an organization that they asked for funding because they had the chance to go on this program, and they were able to get some funding from other sources as well. So if you have some questions about that or some ideas, we would encourage you to think about how to look for other sources of funding as well. Some people got funding from their universities and other things. So ACMS, we're not an academic organization in the sense of offering academic credits. We had a few people last time who were students who wanted to get academic credit for participation. As I was explaining we were talking within the faculty group, the people who did the program last time were and wanted to get academic credit were most successful by working with their home university and figuring out that might have been a directed studies credit. Sometimes institutions have credits that they offer for field studies or for study abroad. So working with your home institution about credit. If you have some questions, sometimes they want to know what the assessment, or they need a syllabus and other things, and we can provide that type of information to you. You can use to talk to your institution. So if you have any questions about that, you can contact us, contact your instructors of your course, and we can try to help you out to support that if you need. For the applications, it's a fairly straightforward process in terms of the information asked, just a general statement of interest. We ask for a statement of your experience in remote areas. That's in part just to remind you and the piece that, we are traveling off the beaten track. We just want to make sure you feel comfortable with that. We will not be staying in hotels. There will not always be cell phone coverage or internet access. We will be out in remote areas. We will have safety plans in place. Everyone will be carrying first aid kits. And we will have a number of things in place in case anything happens, but there's not necessarily a hospital right nearby. There's not necessarily other things. So you just have to be comfortable and aware that we will be traveling in a number of remote areas. Your CV, and then you have an optional, and some people for support. And if you're a university student, for example, and you want to get support, a letter of recommendation, for example, from a faculty member can be helpful, but that's an optional thing. So we're trying to make the application as easy and straightforward as possible. The fellowships, you will ask for a statement because fellowships will be given based upon first need. So if you have a special need, if you are unable to participate because of your status, your income, your available resources, let us know. Let us know more about your situation. So need and then merit, so that we want to have a diverse set of people participating. We will be taking that into consideration, and we want to encourage a wide range of people. We definitely encourage applications from anyone who's interested in the program. We are not going to discriminate by age. Again, you don't have to be a student. You don't have to be in a certain background. You don't have to have ever been to Mongolia before. This program is really, we're trying to make it open to as many people as possible. So Mongolian applicants, you have a little bit different system. There is information on the website in terms of the application process and access to the application. If you have any difficulties, there's a system where you have to register and log into, it's a SurveyMonkey application system through an organization called the Council of American Overseas Research Centers, but it's a way to centralize everything and be able to upload the information for your application. And then we have it available and can make it available to people to review. So just if you have any problems in that system, send us an email, contact us, just let us know any difficulties, and we can try to step you through it. A little bit on the background here on traveling to Mongolia and what we understand and the situation. And so we are carefully monitoring the COVID status and travel restrictions. We can get an update a little bit later from our Ulaanbaatar office in terms of COVID right now. I've been watching the cases. The case counts have been coming down, as they have been in North America as well, coming down quite a bit. In Mongolia, Mongolia has a fairly high vaccination rate. A lot of people, especially in the urban areas, have gotten boosters. So it's looking, fairly confident, as confident, I would say, as in the United States in terms of travel. Those people, in terms of your comfort of travel, that's going to be up to the individual. Mongolia does require you to be vaccinated and to have a negative test. Again, we'll be watching between now and June whether those rules change, and we'll try to let you know, and we'll be having some sessions, some orientation sessions online where we'll be discussing these things and talking about the latest information we have. And I'm sure you guys can look at the different websites and all on that. Mongolia and most other countries remain on a level 4 advisory from the US government. As I said, the US government is allowing people to start to travel again to the embassy, which gave us the green light. They gave us the green light to go ahead with the program. In general, they're still not recommending broad-based travel. Again, we'll see how that changes as we move ahead. In Mongolia, fairly high vaccination rates. The case numbers have been coming down. It seems to be getting much better. We are going to continue to monitor it, and it seems that travel will be possible this summer. We will be making a final decision just based upon the travel situation and all by April, in terms of just monitoring for about another month to see where we're at, and that the COVID situation and travel situation is going to allow travel to Mongolia. We have, safety, health, risk management plans to try to deal with different eventualities. We're happy to provide any of that information to anyone, or work with you if you have special needs or considerations in terms of food allergies or mobility issues or other things. We can talk with you about that, your personal situation, and give our input on the potential ways that we could address that. As I say, we'll try to make a final determination for the program, definitely by May. We all need to know as well. And deposits won't be due prior to the start of the program. Anyone who has had a deposit put down in the past, we will honor all of those as well. All international participants, and this is just true to travel to Mongolia, will need to be fully vaccinated and meet all travel requirements. Now, as I say, we were all worried and monitoring COVID, and that was the big situation. Now travel has been disrupted from both sides for Mongolia. China remains closed because of COVID concerns. So everyone's watching the Olympics, now the Paralympics. China has been really shut down. There is no tourist travel to China or through China at this time. So many of the flights, used to come to Mongolia up, especially from Beijing. Those flights have been canceled. The situation in Russia, the closing of the Russian airspace, so Aeroflot flights all being grounded, no more flights through Moscow and flights over the Russian airspace. We were just talking earlier, so there are flights coming in via Seoul and Tokyo, and there are some flights from Turkish Air flights. And I say via Kazakhstan, just meaning that they cross over because they come around south of Russia and come over Kazakhstan and Western China up to Mongolia. So flights can cross China, they just can't stop in China along the way. So Turkish Air flights, I believe, are continuing. So that's another option for people. It's unclear European flights. There was previously the flights to Frankfurt, but a lot of those went through Russian airspace. So I'm not sure what's going to be the situation with those, especially by summer. Trains are not running, the international trains. There are some internal trains in Mongolia. I don't know if I missed anything, Bagama, in terms of the travel or restrictions. You guys can jump in if there's more information. Just here's a few pictures from our previous program. I worked in the class on renewable energy. This is a class visiting a solar power project in Mongolia. We had some participants who were able, you'll be able to go horseback riding, lots of class and just discussion sessions out in the steppe in beautiful areas. This area where that picture was taken is one of the areas where a couple of the classes will be going again this year. Visiting people in the gers, visiting families and being able to talk with people is definitely what we intend. We will be careful in terms of the COVID situation and people's comfort and being able to visit people in the countryside and visiting people's homes. So it'll be something we'll be considering. Now we're going to go through and we have a chance for each of the instructors to speak. And if anyone has any questions, you can always post them in the chat. Just let us know any questions that you have. So Simon, Sunmin, are you guys there to?
I am the representative. Sunmin is not here. Right. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, Mongolia is a place where maybe everybody is a poet and everybody is a singer to some extent or another. And yet, particularly the literature and to a certain extent, the music hasn't really been studied so deeply. But in this course, we're going to be going into a situation of kind of literary and sonic immersion. And in this course, we're going to be reading texts, poems, and stories by Mongolian writers, particularly contemporary and modern Mongolian writers. And also, we're going to be listening to music, and yet all the time, the intention is to discover how the literature and the music relate directly to Mongolia's famous, unique, and extraordinary landscape. So I'm an expert in, or at least I'm relatively expert in Mongolian literature, and Sunmin Yoon is an ethnomusicologist specializing in one particular vocal art called Otindu, or long song. And Alima Ayushjav is a folklore expert and literary scholar based at the Academy of Science in Ulaanbaatar. And we will be leading this group. And right now, our intention, and of course, as Charles was saying, everything really depends on a number of factors. But our intention is to start in UB and look around, particularly at certain places in the city, maybe Ganden Monastery, and talking also about writers such as Natsuk Dorje, who's one of the most famous writer of Mongolia, and also I'm going to try and organize us to visit with some poets in UB, and then hopefully we can go to Dongov, which is some hours south in the Gobi Desert, initially to Senchand, which is the center of one of the 19th century's most famous poets, who also happened to be a reincarnate Lama called Danzan Raksha, and also to go further west in the Gobi, where there are a lot of singers, and that's when Sunmin will take over, and Alima, and think about the song and the music. So when I say the intention is to immerse us, really how literature and song and music relate to the life of herders in the countryside. And we will be meeting herders, and we will be meeting professional and also non-professional singers and writers, people who just interact with the landscape and their animals in a sonic or literary spoken word manner. And then we'll come back to UB and debrief with maybe a couple of extra events, probably both music and literature. So that's our small presentation. Thank you, Charles.
Okay, thank you. No, it sounds like a really, really interesting, and I've visited the Danzanravja site and Khamrin Hib. Very interesting and going to be really a special time to be able to connect the music and literature to the landscape. Next course, and unfortunately Annika and Batpuyan are not able to be with us, but they're looking at climate change and herding, and how climate change and herding and local livelihoods are really changing over time. So Annika provided a couple of slides here that I'll cover in terms of their program. So Batpuyan is in the nomadic pastoralism studies in Ulaanbaatar and in Mongolia, and has done a tremendous amount of work in Mongolia and in this field. And Annika as well, a cultural anthropologist who has been working in this area for a number of years. So this idea of looking at the pastoralist culture in a contemporary context. So one of the things that they're going to emphasize, and this is a field school where you will be looking at and learning about field research practices and techniques. So they will be leading both an exploration of these different sites and teaching field research techniques while they're going. So it'll be a chance to engage directly, to do some interviews, some analysis with local herders and experts, talking with them about climate change, how they've observed climate change over time, the impact climate change is happening, and then talking about the adaptations. What changes have they made in their herding practices as climate has changed? What are the limits and extent of those changes over time? So where they'll be traveling with their group out to the former Mongolian capital in Kharkhorin and Uginur in Arhangai province. So there's it's a beautiful area, and the gear camps, the tent camps that you'll be staying with there. So you'll be both studying kind of the lake area and how the pastoralists bringing their animals down to get water and live around the lake, especially in the summertime, how that lake level decline and how that's changing then the future and what the future of herding in that area. And then in Kharkhorin as well, Kharkhorin has the amazing Erdnzu Monastery, and there's a museum there and a number of other sites, and it's really was the center of a number of different civilizations over time. So you'll be able to learn about this history and the longer term history of Mongolia and the different periods in the past and different groups that have controlled the territories and lived on the territories that are now Mongolia, while in addition being able to talk with, it's a very rich valley there around Kharkhorin, and there's both crop agriculture and herding. So you then return to Mongolia. One of the advantages of those areas is there's fairly good roads to get out there and to get back. They were able last year in the online field school to teach this course, and so you can have access to all of their materials, to the lectures and different things, both to help you prepare and to give you some idea of some of the information that will be covered in the course. That's all at the studymongolia.org in our sort of field school 2021 online field school that was available. So you can create your account there and gain access to that. So we'll be posting up. So I think Tufshe can post up some information here in the chat, and we'll post it up as well in terms of gaining access to those previous courses and the materials as well for the application for the current year. the Gers living in the tents, typically you do share with at least one other participant or maybe a couple of other participants. There is tents where they then sort of the kitchen tent or whatever you would call it, the dining tent, where there are different hot meals. So we work with local tour companies and tour providers to be able to provide this. There will be a variety in all of the courses, a variety of both, activities in terms of things like this, riding horses or going on hikes, walking, seeing different things. Here you get to go to the lake and along the river to go swimming. So therefore, we will be interweaving a variety of tourist activities, as we said, visits to museums and different sites in all of the courses together with the studies as well. So she's put this, Annika has put her email here if you have any questions about the course content, or you can contact us and we can put you in contact. So, and she says here, as the college credit, just if you are interested in that, first talk with your home institution, and if we can support you, just let us know. Next course, the third course in the first session from June 20th to July 7th, a very interesting course on Mongolian Buddhism, nature, and conservation. So I saw that Betsy and Rebecca, you guys are here. Whoever wants to speak.
We're kind of egalitarian, so I think we're going to tag team a little bit, but I'll start. I am co-teaching this with Dr. Betsy Gaines-Quammen, who is an author and who has also worked in Mongolia for a number of years. Like me, I first came to Mongolia as a Peace Corps volunteer in the year 2000 and was stationed in Kharkhoran, which has already been mentioned as the ancient capital of Mongolia and the place with the oldest extant Buddhist monastery. So this course comes out of the shared interest that Betsy and I have in mostly the revival of Buddhism in Mongolia after the end of the socialist era. And we will be starting out in Ulaanbaatar, visiting Ganden Monastery and talking with a number of the lams there, and then traveling to Kharkhoran, to Amurbaizgalant, and also up to a shamanic and Buddhist site in the Egg-Ur called Dayandir. And that's in Hubsgol province in the north. And the objectives of the course are, again, to explore kind of the history of Buddhism with an emphasis on the post-socialist era and the revival of Buddhism, and also to look at the ways that Buddhism and the kind of modern conservation movement are intersecting and reinforcing or not reinforcing each other. I am actually a wildlife biologist with a background as a practicing Buddhist and with some experience in Tibetan Buddhist refugee communities doing anthropological and ethnographic work. So my side of it is a little bit more actually on the conservation side. That's what I've been doing in Mongolia most recently. But I also still maintain an interest in Buddhism and an interest in how it does sort of intersect with these conservation movements within Mongolia. This is not so much meant to be a practitioner course, so it's not a course where if you are a practicing Buddhist, we're going to guide meditations or anything like that. But there will be an opportunity to talk in depth with Mongolian lams and teachers about how they do perceive practice and how they carry that out. So that's the brief overview. And I think both Betsy and I are happy to entertain questions from anybody. Please feel free to get in touch via email. Happy to talk on the phone with people too, if there are more desired questions. Betsy, do you want to add anything? Because I feel like you have a little more experience with some of the other sites. My major area of concentration has been, Kharkhoran. So I don't know if you want to pop in with any more details about some of the other sites that I actually haven't visited.
I think that was a marvelous overview. I actually, Rebecca and I, are very, very interested in the kind of syncretism between Mongolian Buddhism and shamanism. We're very interested in talking to the lams, and this course will give students an opportunity to work directly with the lams and to meet them and to hear about their experience with the essentially renaissance of Mongolian Buddhism after the purges that took place, and then the fact that Buddhism was not practiced or went underground for decades, and so we see this reemergence of Buddhism in Mongolia. We're going to look at how it's manifesting itself. We're going to look at what that means with individual monasteries. My particular background, I worked. My PhD is in environmental history. So I really look at how cultures perceive landscape. And I was involved in a project where we rebuilt a Buddhist monastery in Hufsgal province. And we'll be spending quite a bit of time in that area, staying in a Ger camp on the Egg-Ur River, which is a beautiful place, and visiting this monastery, which became a center for dialogue on nature and conservation. And so it's going to be very experiential. As Rebecca said, it's not going to be about, meditation and learning necessarily about Buddhist fundamentals, but it's about what Buddhism looks like in Mongolia and how it is coming back after being illegal for decades and decades, and I think it's going to be a beautiful the places that we're going to be are absolutely exquisite. We're going to be meeting unbelievably interesting lams. We're going to be meeting both shamans as well as Buddhists. And it'll really give you a taste of what it's like in this rural culture, a pastoral culture that does have this, I think in Mongolia, a somewhat unusual blend of shamanism and Buddhism. Hufsgal is very interesting in terms of that combination. And Rebecca and I, as she said, I mean, we both come from conservation backgrounds. So when we worked in Mongolia, we really were very much focused on how worldview, kind of religious worldview, or in this case, Buddhism and shamanism perceived conservation, and how they looked at sort of taking care of sentient beings and what that means, both historically as well as how it's kind of manifesting as Buddhism has come back since the 90s. So we're really looking forward to it. We really hope we can do it. It's something that we've been talking about for a couple of years, and as I said, we're extremely excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful area. That's where one of the areas where we were in with our previous field school courses, looking at that Egg-Ur area. In part, as I said, we were working on renewable energy, and there was the proposed hydropower dam up in that area. And there's also the taimen fish and a number of beautiful things in that area. And in fact, our next class on public health, climate change and public health will also be going up to that area as well. And I think
my name's Sue Higgins, and I'm a research associate at the Center for American Indian and Rural Health Equity at Montana State University. And my colleague and I, Dr. Kathy Whitlock, who is a very notable climate scientist at Montana State University, have been involved for some time in doing an assessment of the impacts of climate change on our health in Montana. And in that work, we decided to bring this whole topic to the Mongolian landscape. Of course, this is a big issue globally. We all know about the climate crisis, but an area of deep study now, and it needs to get a lot deeper, are the impacts of climate change on our health. What are the impacts of more heat days on heat stress for people who are working outdoors? What's going on with wildfire? How is that impacting our pulmonary health? These climate surprises that we're having with more flood, drought, and wind, what's that doing to our food security and vector-borne disease and infrastructure on the landscape? And in the end, what's that doing to our mental health? We want to travel the Mongolian landscape to discuss this question. Starting in Ulaanbaatar, we hope to meet with agency officials, climate scientists, and public health officials in Ulaanbaatar when we get there as we tour the city. And then actually we're going to be traveling in consort with the class on Buddhism. We're not going to be having class together, Betsy and Rebecca's class, but we're going to be traveling to the same areas, which will be exciting, up to the Agur Valley, more forested area, and then down to Karakoram to more desert area, to meet with people on the landscape, public health officials, clinics, herders, and spend some time interviewing them and talking to them. And as a team of people, if you decide to take this course, to have a lot of really good conversations on this topic and maybe come up with some ideas for collaborations in the future. I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I just want to tell you that we're going to travel quite widely. You're going to see a lot of, quite a bit of Mongolia in the short 2.5 weeks that we have for this course. And we really look forward to meeting with you and exploring with you. Traveling with us, we were fortunate to receive a grant from the Trust for Mutual Understanding, which allows us to invite a few other instructors. We have 2 physicians from Montana joining us, so we will have medical expertise, and we will have an indigenous climate adaptation scientist from the Blackfeet tribe joining us. And this will lead to lots of great conversations. And as we explore these topics with other physicians and climate adaptation specialists in Mongolian, from Mongolia, I think it's going to be rich conversation. I did want to say that Betsy and Rebecca and I have worked in Mongolia as a team before, and we look forward to visiting some of the areas where we worked a while back, and we've traveled there quite a bit and really can't wait to get back. We hope that COVID and other, of course, global issues don't get too bad, and that we can go ahead and have this wonderful, all of these courses this summer. And we look forward to meeting you. Kathy couldn't be here tonight, but please reach out to us by email with any questions you have. And hopefully our email addresses are on the ACMS website. That's it from me.
And Sue, I just want to say too, we really look forward to collaborating with you too. We feel like our classes are extremely complementary, and I just hope it works. I think that it's going to be an incredible experience, and your class sounds amazing.
We'll have a great time in Mongolia. Thanks, Bets.
Yeah, no, and that's something that it happened last time as well, where we had a couple of the classes traveling together. And so there's a lot of cross-learning that occurs. Of course, you're with students who may be going off in different directions during the day and doing some other things, and you come back together in the evenings at the gear camp and talk and exchange information. And there's some direct overlap in terms of some of the visits and talks. So it's a great opportunity. And I think it works really well to have a couple of the classes traveling and working together. So now those are the 4 classes in our session 1. And then in session 2, which is our later session, a little bit later in the summer, we have Marissa and Gantulga, who I think are both with us today, for their course on environment, humans, and mining in northern Mongolia. So here's Erdenet and some of the areas where this course will be visiting. So Marissa and Gantulga, please take it away.
Yes, so I believe that on the right is Gantulga's picture. So I don't know exactly where it is, but I believe it is the Western Henti Mountains. And the Henti Mountains are very important in Mongolia because they are where Chinggis Khan, or more commonly known as Genghis Khan, is from. And they're very important sacred mountains. But yes, we're interested also in mining work industrial work that people are doing in Mongolia. Some of it is, related to climate change and people having to change occupations and things, but it's a bit more of a perspective, a sort of political economic perspective on things is, what we have in mind. It's been there for a long time and it's not going to go anywhere. So, so if we can't do it this summer, I'm confident there will be another chance. In terms of the timing, if the idea is partly that, this is actually after Nodum, which is, the horse racing and wrestling and archery, which actually in Erdenet has some of the finest archers in Mongolia. So actually Erdenet on the left there is a very fine place to do Nodum. But anyway, if you would like to do that bit up front and then do the industrial modernism bit afterwards, our program may be for you. I'm not really sure what kind of more detail to go into. My background is I am a expert in Mongolian Russian relations, as well as did my PhD work at Erdenet, the city on the left, which is one of the largest copper mines in the world, has been there since the 1970s and is extremely important to Mongolia's economy today. And Gantulaga, he's also on the call, and I said I would sort of start us off. So I will just let Gantulaga introduce himself if he doesn't mind and add anything else.
Yeah, thank you, Marissa, for doing the main introduction. And yeah, our course will be running in the latter half of this summer. And this will be covering the environmental issues and mining issues in the central and northern Mongolia. So the activities we are doing is we'll be first in UP, stay for a couple of days and meet with the agencies, government agencies as such, who are responsible for the environmental issues and also like mining bureaus as such. And then we'll travel north, head to town of Darhan, and overall like a big Selenga province, which is like really agriculture intensive and also the mining intensive area. And probably also like the local issues there, which they are encountering there related to mining and environment. And also we'll be staying in the summer camp, which is, I think, a little bit of like west part of literally Henty mountain area, as Marissa said. We'll be staying like
in the woods,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, like a week or 10 days. That would be long. Well, depending on like how are we going to plan it, probably a week or so. And that would be a beautiful area and almost in the middle of nowhere, but also nearby a lot of mining activities. And we'll be doing there and doing some project work and meet with locals and ninja miners as such. And after that, we will head to Erdenet, a little bit west of that, actually like maybe 400 kilometers west, I don't know, maybe 200 kilometers west of that. And then the Erdenet, the biggest copper and molybdenum mine in Mongolia, in the main like feeding base, like main source of income for the Mongolian economy, basically, and also one of the biggest mines in Asia in terms of copper produce as such. And we'll be in it for a couple of days and meet with officials and probably visit mine site and yeah, the activities that we can do there. And from there, we can return to UB to finalize our course. Yeah, and that's our introduction.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and Erdenet's a very nice city in the mine. You get to see those giant trucks with those big tires. Crazy. So, yeah, and I think in the spirit, as you see, with not only, as I mentioned, with the field school, having a mix of participants, both international Mongolian participants, but also international and Mongolian instructors as well, which really creates a great atmosphere of sharing and interaction for everyone. So that's something else I think that really recommends our program. And we're happy to connect you with anyone if you're interested. We can connect you with people who have participated in the program in the past. We had a great experience in 2019. We hope to offer it again. And we will say that, yes, we will be 2022, we will be trying, but definitely in 2023 and beyond, we're going to be doing the field school again. So if this year doesn't work for you, don't go away. We're going to be here. The courses will be offered again in the future. So thank you for your interest. We're happy to answer any questions. We're happy to follow up with anyone. So you can email to us. There's a lot of information, and on Facebook and other social media as well, where they're posting up different information. You can find on our website a lot of the information on our past programs and activities, and different information about the ACMS and all the research work. So there may be some specific areas that you're interested in within Mongolia. Happy to connect you with different people as well. The online field school, you can access some of the online courses. Again, if you're having any challenges registering to get into those, just let us know and we can help you with that. So thank you, everyone. As I say, just let us sign up for our monthly newsletter. It's free. You'll get our information. You'll get information about our lecture series and different activities and different things. We won't pester you with too much, but we'll keep you in touch with all of the important information. So ACMS is on all of the Twitter and Instagram and different things. And we're open to any questions that anyone has, or we also want to post this information and welcome people to come this summer or in a future summer as well. So thank you. And I'm not sure I gave I'm Charles Kristicoff. I'm the founder and executive director for many years. Happy to not be in that role. Have Bowler supporting us now, but I still work closely with the team and supporting all of the activities. And I'm a professor here in Victoria, British Columbia. So we're full North American approach. Okay, Nick, yes, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you this summer as well. As you go along, just if you encounter anything, we're interested to hear of any challenges that you have, information that you gather, because travel is just starting up again. All of us used to travel regularly to Mongolia, but it's been a little while. So we're happy to try to share information, and we'll be sharing that on all of our different media as well. All right, so thank you, everyone.